Hey Uber drivers, guess what? Turns out you're not the only one who will vote against your own best interests. Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and yes, it's going to be another salty video. Now, some of you might have noticed something different. Well, here's the thing. In my pursuit of recording podcasts and recording on news articles and streaming on Twitch, well, not saying absolutely anything. I mean, eventually I will, but right now Twitch is just a little fun thing. My wife has pointed out that I do not spend enough time with her. Therefore, we have come to the agreement where while I make these videos, she can play some Mario 64 for those of you who need something other than my face to look at. Yeah, so anyway, so that's what's going to be going on for the next few videos. So anyway, what are we talking about with Amazon workers are also voting against their own interests? Well, in Alabama, there was a vote recently where Amazon workers were going to vote on whether or not to unionize that particular warehouse. Now, here's the thing. Just to be perfectly frank, I don't always like unions. In fact, there are some unions that I think are downright destructible, particularly teachers' unions. I know that unions have some very, very big drawbacks. However, they are a necessary evil in some cases. So while I do not normally like the idea of unionizing, when you have a company that pays these slave wages while working their employees to having back and neck problems that they usually have for the rest of their lives after working for just a couple of years, refusing to pay benefits, having an absolute stringent point system, and are so poor about giving employees breaks that most employees would rather pee in bottles than actually go to the bathroom because they might get in trouble if they take too long to go to the bathroom. Well, you know what? Under those circumstances, you probably need a union. And, well, a lot of people felt that too. And a vote went down, but Amazon won enough votes to beat the union effort. Now, here's the key points from a CNBC article. Amazon on Friday secured enough votes to defeat the unionization drive at one of its Alabama warehouses, delivering a blow to organized labor who hoped to unionize a U.S. Amazon facility for the first time. Of the 32,015 ballots cast, there were 1,798 votes opposing the union and 738 in favor. Approximately 5,800 workers at the Bessemer warehouse were eligible to vote on whether to join the retail, wholesale, and department store union. In order to defeat the union, Amazon needed to garner 1,608 votes, or as little as more than 50% of the cast ballots. The margin of victory is larger than the approximately 500 challenge ballots, which would have only been tallied if they would have swayed the outcome of the election. The election result still needs to be formally certified by the National Labor Relations Board. The RWDSU said it plans to challenge the election results. The union said it intends to file objections over Amazon's election conduct with the NLRB, as well as a number of unfair labor practice charges, alleging that, quote, Amazon interfered with the rights of its Bessemer, Alabama employees to vote in a free and fair election. And what they're referring to two primary things. One of these things might actually sound very familiar if you're an Uber driver who were voting on Prop 22. The first thing is that Amazon, despite the fact that we're in a pandemic, despite the fact that COVID is not yet under control, despite the fact that almost none of the warehouse workers in Alabama were vaccinated, they insisted on the vote being in public. You know, Jeff Bezos, who, by the way, is calling the Georgia election amendment bill unconstitutional because, God forbid, you show an ID to prove that you're eligible to vote, and who said that you should not be taking away mail-in voting rights. Like, hey, you know, you should be able to just mail in your ballot, and that should not be background checked at all. Hey, when it comes to unionizing Amazon, no. Forget that ID. Forget the mail-in ballot thing. You are taking your butt to the warehouse, and you are going to put your life in danger to vote for this union. That is one of the things that happened. I kid you not. Now, the other thing that happened is that some Amazon warehouse workers strongly suggested that Amazon implied that, hey, if the union passed, there might not be a warehouse to work at. Either they would have to shutter the warehouse in Alabama, or they'd have to potentially lay off some half of the workforce because, as a unionized company, they can't just afford anyone. They have to actually cut back on that stuff. And that sounds a little familiar, right? Remember when Uber was doing things like that? Well, if Prop 22 doesn't pass, we might have to get rid of a lot of drivers. And yeah, your job's pretty crappy, but it's something, right? You'd hate to lose any income, right? So that is some of the conduct that I believe the RWDSU is talking about. Now, the unionization effort in Alabama transformed into a protracted labor battle at Amazon, with the company hiring the same law firm it used to assist with negotiations during a failed union drive in Delaware in 2014. Amazon also made its position on union campaign clear to workers at the Bessemer facility by holding mandatory meetings, setting up a website urging workers to do it without dues. Basically, what they're saying is you don't want to work without paying union dues. Here's the thing. I was a member of a union. It was Local 50 for the record. And the union dues were $35 a month. It was hardly something that I noticed. And distributing pamphlets instructing workers to vote no on the historic election. Now, in all fairness, Amazon is allowed to actually encourage people to vote no. I don't think I actually appreciate the fact that they're holding people's jobs over the line or suggesting that they are. The union specifically called out a mailbox that was installed in front of the Bessemer facility, including claims that it was placed there by the U.S. Postal Service at the direction of Amazon. The company said the mailbox was intended to make it more convenient for workers to vote, adding that only the Postal Service had access to the mailbox, although how do you actually know that? I don't know. If I see an Amazon employee installing a box and saying you put your votes there, who knows? That could be seen as, vote tampering with. I wouldn't put it past Amazon. It's a very simple thing to do. You put the mailbox there, people put their vote in as a convenience measure, and, well, who knows what happens to the vote. So, anyway, in a statement, RWDSU President Stuart Applebaum said Amazon, quote, left no stone unturned in its efforts to gaslight its own employees. We won't let Amazon's lies, deception, and illegal activities go unchallenged, which is why we are formally filing charges against all of the egregious and blatantly illegal actions taken by Amazon during the union vote. We demand a comprehensive investigation over Amazon's behavior in corrupting this election. Amazon said in a statement that the union will say that Amazon won this election because we intimidated employees, but that's not true. Yeah, because you don't have a history of that, right? You didn't fire Chris for, actually asking for a union. But no, he broke the COVID protocols about not staying home when he was supposed to. Meanwhile, Amazon wants all their employees to break the quarantine and come and vote and put their lives in danger. Yeah. Okay. So, my thoughts on this? Well, first of all, I do want to point something out. How all the news networks have been saying that, Amazon wins enough votes to beat the union effort in Alabama. What's interesting is that the suggestion and the almost damning accusations that Amazon might have tampered with the election results by installing a mailbox that the government is not aware of, and by suggesting to employees that they might not have a job if they vote no, if they vote yes on this thing. Why isn't that part of the headline? That seems to be the bigger story, or at very least it should warrant its own article. But yeah, technically Amazon has beat the union, but it won't be the last. I think the unions are going to be, more ruthless than ever. Now, the New York Times did point out that there is one force that can help Amazon's workers, and that's Amazon's shoppers. And the subheadline is customers can start telling Jeff Bezos, aka Lex Luthor, to treat his workers like human beings. I'm just going to read you the first couple paragraphs here. This is an opinion piece, by the way. Here are some of the ways that people who have worked inside Amazon's warehouses describe the experience. The job crushed my spirit and crippled my body. The lowest point in my life. An isolating colony of hell. They're killing people mentally and physically. I began to hate my day-to-day life. The way Amazon pushes people is not moral. I had whole days where I didn't talk to anyone. The systematic devaluing of human bodies. I mean, geez, it almost sounds like working at Uber is a cakewalk and you're getting paid 20 cents a mile. I know it's not that, but you get the point. Few of these accounts are new, but persistent horror stories have done nothing to diminish Amazon's geometric growth. And then it points out, all these things. Are these workers happy? Is this good work? Should we rejoice about a company that can hire so many people in the midst of pandemic-induced mass unemployment? And one that, in 2018, instituted a minimum hourly wage of $15, pushing Walmart, Target, and other retailers to raise their pay too? Yes, but they took away their stock options, which is worth a lot more than that raise. Or should we recoil at the way Amazon has swept the apparent brutality of its operations under a haze of public relations opportunism? The way it paints itself as a high-minded savior of American labor while its workers are so pressed for time that they must urinate and defecate in bags and bottles. More urgently, should we stop shopping at Amazon? Yes. Okay, I know that yes is not part of the article, but it's yes. As an inveterate Amazon shopper whose spending with the company soared to embarrassing heights during the pandemic, I mean, I understand that. Even I, who avoid shopping Amazon whenever possible, was more or less forced to buy a few things on Amazon because, frankly, they were the only place that had some of these things. I have thought about the ethics behind those smiling boxes a whole lot recently, and I regret to say that my hottest take is irritatingly tepid. It's complicated. To me, it is far from obvious that boycotting Amazon is the best way to reform American retail in a way that results in greater safety and prosperity for workers. But that doesn't mean that consumers have no power. To a degree greater than many of its competitors, Amazon has thrived by accommodating its customers' desires. Customers can now try to marshal that power on behalf of Amazon's workers. There is one thing Jeff Bezos, Amazon's founder and chief executive, seems to care about all else: what his customers want. Now, he goes on to make the strong case that customers really should be telling Amazon that they should treat their workers better, and I agree. Shoppers are the only thing that might be able to change Amazon's opinion on things, but they're not going to. And I'm even going to share stories of how I know why. I go to church. We both go to church. This is not a secret. And we are friends with deacons at the church. And I have told the wife deacon, or actually, no, her husband's the deacon. She's the wife of the deacon. That I believe that shopping at Amazon is unchristian. Now, she asked why I felt that was, and I explained all these things. The abuse of the workers, the mental exhaustion, the physical exhaustion, the peeing in the bottles, the fact that how many businesses have gone under, how many legacy companies have gone under just because you could get something for 20 cents less at Amazon. The fact that Amazon is actually physically destroying our retail and buying up too many things. They're influencing the government to spy on us with their facial cams. I mean, all these things, and you would think her response would be, that's horrible, I should reconsider shopping at Amazon. But instead, her response is, yeah, but I get free shipping, and you can't beat free shipping. Well, first of all, other companies also give free shipping, and this is not unique to Amazon. I don't give free shipping, and if you're an eBay seller, you shouldn't give free shipping either. But that said, really, that was the response. All these horrible things you hear about, and the only thing you could think about was, I get free shipping, though. It's almost as arbitrary as the argument that you voted yes on 22 because I want to clock on and off the app whenever I want, so I don't care what Uber does to me. So anyway, for the time being, the union is defeated. Again, I'm not entirely pro-union. I think there are major problems with unions in general. But for certain companies, especially those that are quote-unquote too big to control, a union is a very useful middleman for employees because they're the only ones that are going to fight for their rights. I mean, heck, Uber drivers just found this out the hard way. Uber, sweet-talked all you guys, all my drivers, all the drivers who watch my channel, I should say, with promises of, set your own pricing and you can see where you're going before you accept the trip. And then once Uber got what they want, basically these things got taken away. And a lot of people who drive for Uber, some of whom I consider friends, I want to add, were honestly kind of surprised that they did this. Even though it's like, well, why wouldn't they do this? They have the history of doing this. It's the same thing with Amazon. So for Amazon, I think a union would be good. But my question is, do you think Amazon will ever be unionized? And would you have voted yes for a union or no? And why? I would love to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.